laws cannot be insensitive, cannot derelict when it is about the life of our nationals. They have 3 days between now, latest by Friday, the evacuation of our Ghanaian nationals, particularly students, should take place.
They also want all Chinese nationals in Ghana to be screened, but government is dismissing the irresponsibility claims. Here's why.
The ministry has released $150,000. We are working very closely with the Ministry of Finance to release an additional $100,000 to cushion the difficulties the students are going through.
We have details of that also tonight. Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, is strongly recommending the restoration of cut-off grade for admitting free SHS students, as its findings reveal entrants with poor grades struggle with subjects during the course of the term. We have details of that, and over 200 people dead on Ghana's roads in the first month of 2020. We hear the MTTD's calls for enforcement of speed limiters, especially for vehicles traveling long distances.
All others will buy into it so that this noble strategy will come on stream, eliminate one of the risk factors that contributes immensely to traffic crashes on our roads.
And in business, we'll be hearing from the Vice President on how his policies have actually helped improve the livelihoods of Ghanaians.
And later in sports, the Ghana Table Tennis Association becomes the first federation in the West Africa region to acquire ultra-modern equipment ahead of this weekend's Chairman's Cup.
And later on, flip side, we get to hear the song that starts becoming the official Valentine's Day song as we prepare for the Joy Love experience at the Labadi Beach Hotel on Friday. Do join us with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp is 0244340437. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Mensah.
Newsnight, as always, is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy, cash-free convenience. Let's start off from Parliament, and the novel coronavirus has become topical today. And the minority, they are giving government a 3-day ultimatum to evacuate Ghanaian students in Wuhan, China, over the novel coronavirus outbreak or face their wrath. The minority says government has no business not evacuating the Ghanaian students because the situation in Wuhan is deteriorating. So far, over 1,000 lives have been lost, with more than 42,000 cases recorded. Minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs, Okujeto Ablakwa, and Health, Kwabna Mensah Kando, told a media briefing in Parliament government is being callous and checking its responsibility by not evacuating the students.
Our nationals who are stranded. We have been in touch with the student leadership, with the students themselves, and they paint a very horrendous, a very, very tortuous predicament. They have run out of supplies. The $4,200 that the Ghanaian government through our embassy in China released to the students have long been spent. They've run out of money, and they tell us that even with those of them who have personal resources, most of the shops are closed, and so they cannot find shops to buy the nose masks which they need to protect.
Apologies for the poor quality of sound there. Let's stay in Parliament a while longer. They also made a case for the screening of all Chinese nationals in the country.
I believe that all Chinese in this country must report to their respective regional capitals screening.
Wouldn't that amount to unfair targeting? Because,
no, not at all. Not at all, because that is the origin of the disease, especially those who came from China not too long ago, you understand. And you realize that, for me, Chinese are found in our hinterland. That's where we don't have very robust health structure. And so this is a very fair, even in some countries, before you enter, they screen you. And so if there's an outbreak and the origin of the virus is China, and we are screening Chinese in this country, I don't think it's out of place. It's a humble suggestion, and I think that that will serve as proactiveness.
You heard there the minority spokesperson on health, Kobna Mensah Akando. Earlier also, you heard Kujetua Blakwa there. But we are privileged to be joined on the phone by the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, Mr. Habib Tijani, and of course, the minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs, Samuel Kujetua Blakwa. We're grateful for your time here, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So I'll start off with you, Mr. Blakwa. From your interaction with them, though, about how many students are we talking about?
Yeah, good evening to you and to all our listeners. We are currently looking at about 170 students who have written their names and submitted same to the embassy. We are also aware that there are about another 100 Ghanaian nationals within the Wuhan epicenter, the Hubei province. So, in all, conservatively, we are looking at about 300 Ghanaians who are ready to be evacuated. And as we said at our press conference today, one chartered flight should suffice, should be enough to ferry our stranded and highly traumatized nationals back to Ghana.
Well, but considering the nature of the virus, Mr. Blakwa, are we adequately resourced for the standard 14-day quarantine among others? Do we know where we can even keep these 300 persons that we are asking to be evacuated to Ghana?
We have said that we are not calling for just an evacuation without following the WHO protocol, preparing ourselves, making sure that all the necessary isolation centers are intact. Fortunately, we did set up some good systems during the Ebola outbreak, if you recall, under former President Mahama. So if we activate those systems and follow the WHO protocols, which will demand that these Ghanaian nationals who are stranded, and mind you, as we speak, there is no confirmed case amongst the Ghanaian community, the Ghanaian nationals who are currently under lockdown, not a single confirmed case. So it's better to move in now than to wait and be sorry later when Ghanaians start contracting or begin contracting the novel coronavirus. So we are saying that let's follow WHO protocols. When the Minister of Health briefed Parliament about 2 weeks ago, he did speak to elaborate systems that have been put in place and that Ghana was ready, and some money, about 25 million cedis, had been set aside to prepare Ghana. If indeed those systems have been put in place, and we have the benefit of the Ebola systems also that we can activate, then what you do is that you evacuate, follow these protocols, make sure that these Ghanaian nationals, when they come in, they are isolated, they are quarantined, they are observed for 2 weeks, which is the WHO protocol. When it is really clear, according to the experts, that they are safe to be reintegrated in society, then they can be reintegrated, albeit with some continuous surveillance. That is what all countries are doing on the African continent as we speak. Morocco has done same. Egypt, Algeria, Libya, Mauritania, Kenya, Libya, Tunisia, Mauritius, Seychelles. That's what they have done. We know that that's what the international, the larger international scene. Some countries are even going for their third round, fourth round of evacuations as we speak. You've seen what the Americans are doing. The Australians are moving in for their third round of evacuations. So it's about being empathetic, not being insensitive, not being callous. When our nationals have been left behind, they are in distress. You don't abandon them. No country does that. This is not leadership. You don't leave them to their fate, as our government is doing now. It's really terrible. It's unacceptable, and we are looking really, really bad in the Committee of Nations. It's as though, as for Ghana, if you travel and something happens, you are just on your own. Nobody cares.
Well, the issue about empathy as against the resources and, of course, the risks that it poses to the rest of us is also an issue that has come up. But let's quickly bring in the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, Habib Tijani. We're grateful for your time, sir. So there's a huge concern that as a country, we have neglected our fellow Ghanaians, especially students who are stranded in Wuhan as we speak following the outbreak of the virus. We would want to find out if there is even a plan at all for those in China as we speak.
Let me say good evening to you and to your cherished listeners. And I also want to thank you for the opportunity to update Ghanaians on issues relating to the coronavirus in China. I want to put it on record that the government of Ghana cares about all the students and all Ghanaians in China. We have done a lot of things in China in the wake of this coronavirus. President is concerned about it. And if you look at the measures put in place since the outbreak of the coronavirus, you will understand that the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has a lot of concern for Ghanaians, and we are working towards getting them relieved of all the problems associated with the coronavirus. One, it will be recalled that Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Health both address the nation. One, we first of all take press conferences and send press releases to all Ghanaians, informing them of the outbreak of the coronavirus in China. And again, we appealed to parents and told them we're in contact with the Chinese, with our embassy in China and the students. We also went and addressed Parliament. We went and briefed Parliament on what government of Ghana was doing. Besides that, government of Ghana, under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, has put in place two teams. One, we have the National Technical Consultative Committee, which has already been existing, but was reactivated. And then government also put in place the Interministerial Committee. And these two strong committees are dealing with the issues both here and in China. Well, I am not a member of the committee, and I may not be able to speak for the committee. But I just want to add that the committee is in touch with the presidency and the government of China, and also in touch with our embassy in China. What I can readily say now is what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is doing with our embassy in China to alleviate the sufferings and other related difficulties confronting the students and other people in China. We have so far released $250,000 to our embassy in China to take care of the students in the Hubei province and also in the epicenter. And what we have done is to ensure that they take care of these students as well as other Ghanaians in the Hubei province. We are also working very closely with them to ensure that these monies take care of the essentials such as toiletries, nose masks, then other essentials that will be very useful to the students within the epicenter. We have 152 students in the epicenter, and we have a total of 350 in the Hubei province. Now, talking about evacuation of the Ghanaian students, we will not want to evacuate few or some of the students and leave others. And I'm quite sure that the committee, the Interministerial Committee and the Technical Committee are also talking towards getting lasting solution to this problem. If evacuating Ghanaian students from China is the best, I'm quite sure they will eventually come to that. This is what I can talk on. Well, I also share the sentiments of my colleague MP, who feels that we should have brought them. But I don't agree with him if he says the government of Ghana is callous. We don't care about them. We have done a lot, and you can see from what I've said that the government of Ghana shows a lot of concern for every citizen of Ghana anywhere in the world. I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, Mr. Blackwell, you've heard the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister says a number of measures have been put in place. The students were complaining about the essentials that they needed. He's telling us that government is making adequate provision for that to be provided for them. 300 of them, he says they can do it in bits. They are hoping to do it at once. You're satisfied with the response you're getting from government in terms of what they've done so far?
Not at all. I am not the least satisfied, not the least impressed, and the students who will be listening now will be even more distressed. All these measures he has outlined, the government initiated these processes. At the time, the death toll was less than 200 and less than 10,000 confirmed cases. As we speak, the death toll has surpassed 1,000, talking about 1,060 people who have died. Yesterday was the deadliest single day in terms of death toll tabulations since this novel coronavirus was reported on the 31st of December 2019. Countries have reviewed their interventions, and countries have moved in to even do multiple rounds of evacuations. Mm-hmm. Ghana cannot continue to pussyfoot. Just one flight. Look, as we speak, there is no confirmed case. So when they
but just one flight may be able to bring them back, Mr. Blackwell. But we've had experts, for instance, advising against an evacuation, knowing the systems we have in place in this country and the risk that it poses to the rest of us. They've advised against it. You don't think that's the way to go?
I will have sided with these experts if they had added that we should stop flights from China. As we speak, on a daily basis, flights are arriving from China, Ethiopian Airlines, Emirates, and all of them. We just screen them at Kotoka, do some temperature checks, and everybody goes home. Are we saying that the lives of foreigners are more important than our nationals? I mean, if we had gone the route of the United States of America, that has placed an embargo, a total embargo on flights from China, then I will be agreeing with these experts. These experts cannot be looking the other way while flights are coming in from China. As I speak to you, this virus has spread to mainland China, away from the Hubei province, entire mainland China. I saw President Xi Jinping yesterday touring centers in Beijing and other parts of China apart from the epicenter. And yet, unlike other countries who are beginning to control flights from China entry into their countries, Ghana has not done that. And it's one of the concerns we in the minority have and have raised. So for foreigners, everything can be normal. They can come into our country in droves, but we cannot have empathy for our own nationals. I disagree. The same experts who are advising other countries like Morocco, Egypt, Algeria, Libya, Mauritania, Kenya, Tunisia, Mauritius, Seychelles on the continent, elsewhere, Spain, United States, Germany, France, Switzerland, Thailand, Philippines, you name them, Britain, those same experts who have advised their governments to evacuate their nationals, evacuate their students. Are we saying that they are not good experts?
Okay.
So please, I'm not convinced.
Well, Mr. Blackwell, we are grateful. But finally, Mr. Habib, I've heard you talk about the numbers that you have and the plans that you have in place. But you didn't give us a clear timeline in terms of whether you're going to evacuate them and when that is going to begin.
I said earlier that I am not a member of any of the two committees. And what we are doing as a ministry is to get in touch with them, doing everything to make their life a bit comfortable. They cannot be completely comfortable because of the situation on the ground. But what we are doing is to ensure that we provide all the essentials. And I believe it has a lot of fruit because that is why we still don't have a single Ghanaian contracting the virus. And I believe that at the appropriate time, the committee will advise the president and the government of Ghana on what to do. I don't want to believe that we don't have the best technical people to advise the government. And I don't want to believe that what the advice other people are given to other countries are better than what advice our technical men are given to our president. We must be proud of our technical people. We must be proud of our technocrats in Ghana. Thank you so much.
We're grateful. That's the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, Habib Tijani. Also heard earlier the minority spokesperson on foreign affairs, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa.
So why don't you have your say on that? Should Ghanaian students in Wuhan be evacuated to Ghana? What do you say about that? 0244340437. Let's hear from you. Now, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee is strongly recommending the restoration of cut-off grades for admitting students under the free senior high school program.
Now, the committee's 2018-2019 free SHS monitoring reviewed students with poor grades struggle with subjects during the course of the term. In a statement issued by the committee, chairman of PIAC, Nobel Waja, said the abolition of the cut-off grade has led to a situation of dumping poor students or poor grade students in deprived schools. You've seen a copy of the press release. What are the general observations?
So, on early reporting, it observes that the program has resulted in more timely reporting of students. There's also on textbooks, core textbooks had been adequately provided in all schools they visited. Of course, there are areas that they note that there have been delays. When it comes to uniforms and jerseys, they note that most schools received uniforms and jerseys on time. However, there were a few reported cases of schools not receiving theirs. There's also a huge impact on enrollment. Girls' enrollment, for example, in particular, has increased significantly. There's also improved feeding menu. But there are some concerns that they observed, though, including quality and timeliness of supplies. So they say the poor quality. There's poor quality and unwholesomeness on some of the supplies that the schools are getting. There's also corruption, that they are finding lack of advice to recipient schools on the value of goods supplied, portends a corruption risk, as the lack of transparency provides cover for cost manipulation. They found that as well. There's also performance. They also note that, part of the free SHS policy meant that they abolished cut-off grades so that, everybody can have access to school. The PIAC observes that this has led to a situation of dumping of poor grade students in schools, particularly deprived schools, which is affecting performance. And they also found challenges with elective textbooks and equipment were, supplies.
Of course, there were some key recommendations that they put out also on that.
They're encouraging vigilance on the part of school authorities in monitoring the quality of supplies. That's the key thing that they are observing. They also want to avoid a recurrence of over and under supply of food items. Supply of food items by the buffer stock company should be based on orders from the school. So they let the school order them before you actually supply. They also note that supply contracts for uniforms and house vests should be given out early enough to forestall delays, among others. We can speak to Noble Waja. He speaks for PIAC, joins us on the telephone line right now. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. So why was this necessary, this particular research that you did across the country with the schools benefiting from the free SHS?
Oh, well, it has become necessary for PIAC to engage the free HS components of its work, largely because, or primarily because the program has benefited substantially from the oil revenues. And as you may be aware, the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, which establishes PIAC, give us the mandate to follow, to monitor compliance of the use of the petroleum revenue. So we we go to wherever the petroleum revenue is spent. So that is why we have to follow on the free HS.
Did you find that there have been compliance? I mean, some of the things you found, some positives, but significant negatives as well. Overall, are you happy with how the money has been spent?
I think that is an issue for another deeper discussion. For now, compliance, we are monitoring compliance to the use of the money. And it complies with the government policy on the education and infrastructure, which largely addresses the free HS. So yes, on that score, we will say that it has been the use of the money has been complied with the government policy. There is no contention about that. However, we have found out some unacceptable revelations, which we think needs to be addressed going forward. So I think that is where we stand for now. And if you look at some of the challenges or the difficulties that is associated with the implementation of the policy, we will want to say that the policy, the use of the money in respect of the challenges cannot be said to be in good taste. That I can say.
Let me bring in the spokesperson for the Education Ministry, Vincent Safa. Mr. Safa, I'm grateful that you could join us.
Can I hear?
Hello, Mr. Safa.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, thank you for joining us. Let's examine one of the key findings that the PIAC observed, which the part that has to do with the cut-off grades. There have been concerns in the lead-up to the introduction of this policy that it might affect quality. I mean, PIAC's finding is that you have the cut-off grades that you abolished is led to a situation of dumping of poor grade students in schools. That can affect quality. What's your reaction to that finding? Hello, Mr. Safar. We appear to have lost him on the telephone line there. Hello, Vincent. Okay, the line is terrible. Yes, but do I still have on the line the
yes, sir.
Mr. Waja?
Hello.
Is it Vincent?
Good evening.
Hi, Mr. Waja. Yes, apologies there. We lost Vincent earlier. So let me wrap up with you, Mr. Waja. On the question of the performance and the cut-off grades that you raised, right? What's your recommendation on that? You say government should reintroduce the cut-off grades, but that then will defeat the purpose of the free SHS. The stated goal, and it's in the constitution as well, is to have every student, every child of school-going age in school.
Yeah, that is not in contention, but we should understand that the utilization of the petroleum revenue in respect of the free HS should be seen as a scholarship, okay? And we are investing in citizens, and we want some output from these citizens. So I don't think it is very prudent to spend on everybody who has even indicated that he is not able to run through the program. There are other areas we think that the free HS can extend its mandate to. It is not everybody who is academically sound. So if the grades indicate clearly that the person cannot be in the classroom as it were, then I think there should be other avenues for such people. So we are looking at how the money can be effectively used, judiciously used, to the betterment of every citizen in the light of the differential skill and capacity that people have.
Okay, let me bring in quickly, Mr. Baja, just apologies. Let me quickly bring in Mr. Safwa. Hello, Mr. Safwa. Okay, I lost him there. I'm pretty sure I lost Mr. Waja as well with PIAC. That's the findings of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee there on assessing the use of the oil revenue for the support of the free SHS policy. So listening to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. When we return from business, we'll scrutinize government's assessment today in this town hall meeting where government scored itself 78% in fulfillment of its campaign promises. We'll hear from ISA and the NDC as well. You want to stay with us for that, and George is joining me with the latest from the world of business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And the Vice President has been talking about the fact that some of those economic policies that they've implemented has impacted positively on Ghanaians, as he insisted it was due to prudent management of the economy. And the Securities and Exchange Commission could soon start with the payment of those funds, that fund managers that we actually had their licenses revoked in terms of those investors. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery and First National Bank. Remember, it's been 25 years providing you joy, up-to-date market numbers, and the business news.
What kind of phone is this? Hey, Joe, into the coloring to have a radio. Chance not for you. Ube upgrade. Shasuna Daily. *120*1#. Nabeka MTN Brazil level promo. If we and Yakopim, every Busumi in a year, would your Kosuna use with MTN number? No. 2 more, now bet me we need 20,000 iPro 5S phones to move back. Cafe door. Bob, come on, test it. Now, for Chama Monica. Abena. I said, Ubecha new ringtone. So, Osaka with iPro 5S phone. MTN Brazil level promo. New year, new phone, new ringtone. We are good together. We're there for you everywhere you go.
Mr. Barr has big dreams for his business, Barr & Co. Limited, and his family, making them a reality man to long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Boost and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop. With customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Your success, our passion.
So how that thing end? My God. So we video call like 2 minutes. Then now she say make I take over and meet them. But Charlie, as I hang up, we are Rexy, my data finish. See, I roam I no get data back. So after they come look for another phone.
Hey, my guy, hold up. You see why you for use Vodafone?
I be all be the same data.
Who tell you? Now with Vodafone, whether you get data or not, you go free use the Uber app with no data charges at all.
Hey, this so?
Oh yeah. Now Vodafone the Uber partner. So even if you get data where you use the Uber app, they not they tell you anything. Where if you no get data safe, Charlie, you the free use the Uber app. Simple. No data matter bia. Where they be safe be say as you they use the app, you the free get free ride. Where it come with some champion discount. You can now order your Uber ride at no data cost and stand a chance to enjoy free rides and amazing discounts. Switch to Vodafone today.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. And the Vice President had been speaking his whole argument about the prudent management of the economy and how that has impacted on the livelihoods of Ghanaians.
Yeah, I mean, economy was one of the key areas that he talked about today at this town hall meeting. As far as they're concerned, they've achieved an overall 78%. Economy is one of the key areas. They've made about 30 promises. They've done 16 out of that. And for them, that is key. One of the key areas they touched on was macroeconomic stability.
And the Vice President actually argues that, listen, it's not just about the numbers, but the fact that these policies has actually impacted on the livelihoods of Ghanaians. Let's listen to him.
Look at the rate of increase in petroleum prices. It has declined. In fact, if you look at NDC, between 2009 and 2012, the average annual increase in petrol prices was 29.5% every year. Between 2013 and 2016, every year the average increase was 24%. But because we've been able to bring inflation down and manage the economy better under Nana Akufo-Addo between 2017 and 2019, it has been 13.5%. So this is reflecting, this good economic management is reflecting. But further, in addition to this, you've seen a decrease in electricity prices. We promised to reduce electricity prices. People thought it wasn't possible. I will take you back because sometimes people tell us we have short memories and we always have to remind ourselves.
Vice President Dr. Muhammad Bawumia speaking at the town hall meeting in Kumasi today. Now, tax consultant William Demetia says he actually described the move by government to use a national ID for the purposes of tax identification. I remember that the Vice President at the program that at the launch of the Absa Bank talked about the fact that they are working to actually migrate the data on the TIN data and the national ID number so that possibly from next year they're going to use that to actually identify.
Interestingly, it's one of those achievements he pointed to today in this town hall meeting as one of those things they have achieved as part of the helping the economy grow. And, well, Mr. Demetia believes it's a good idea.
It's a good idea, but there are certain things that we should also look out or work on to let this actually work.
I think from a legislative standpoint, if you look at the Revenue Administration Act, specifically Section 10 of the Revenue Administration Act 2016, Act 915, the prerogative to come out with a system of identifying taxpayers is given to the Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Office. Now, in that same section, the Minister of Finance is given power to, by a legislative instrument, make regulations, which in essence can cede that power to gather the data to another public body. So, to my mind, if government intends to use the national identification as a means of getting people's information for tax purposes, then we need to make regulations, which will simply say that the Commissioner General can adopt whatever information is on the national identification system as a means of identifying persons. And
well, Demetia is a tax consultant. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission says it could soon start payment for those investors of these collapsed fund management firms. Now, this will be subject to actually completing the validation of these claims that has come to its end as it closed that period for the exercise that was last month. Let's hear from Deborah Jemfra. She is Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission in charge of legal.
The payment process is not a standalone process. It's linked to a number of processes. One of them is validation of the claims submitted, because as we speak today, we have claims from a company that are 4 times what we had on record. So it's key that there's some validation that is done before we propose the figures we have to the government, and then a decision will be taken on the way forward.
Economists will always say all other things being equal. Any period that we are hoping that at least the process could start.
It will be very difficult to give a time frame now as we speak, because as you know, 21 of these companies had already closed down. So getting access to data and their records is a process that we would have to go through.
Deborah Jemfra is the Deputy Director General in charge of legal at the Securities and Exchange Commission. And the National Pensions Regulatory Authority says it will soon be extending a new service for the informal sector. The move is part of efforts to ensure those that are in that sector are also covered by these pension products. Let's hear from the Director General of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority.
Micro pension is a third tier or a tier 3 pension, which is voluntary. But we need to get people to understand that pension is for everybody. Everybody is going to retire one day when you don't have the energy to earn income. Therefore, whether you work for yourself or you work for somebody, there is a need for you to put something aside. So we are going to launch, as part of our 10th anniversary, what we call a micro pension system across the country to educate and sensitize people to know that those who are in the informal sector There are pension products for you. We have personal pension schemes, we have group personal pension schemes, and if you work collectively, we have what we call the Provident Fund schemes that you can join. So this is something that we're going to launch big time this year.
Mr. Hayford Atakrofi is the Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, and that is all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
And George, we want to stay with today's town hall meeting and Dr. Bawumia's assessment that he rendered today. They wanted it to be an evidence-based assessment of what government had done, and I'm sure, George, you've been looking at the economic assessment they've laid out today on economy. They point out that they have achieved, in terms of the promises they have delivered, they've delivered 16 out of a total of 30 promises in all, 16 representing 53% of all the promises that they made in the 2016 elections, the manifesto. They have delivered. If you look at the specific areas, and some of them will interest you, shift the focus of economic management from taxation to production. They say they have delivered that. They restore overall macroeconomic stability. They say they have delivered that. Reduce VAT for micro and small enterprises from 17.5 to 3% flat rate. That is easily verifiable because it's part of the budget once upon a time. Let's bring in the director of the ISA, Professor Peter Quartey, joins us on the telephone line right now. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Newsnight, Prof.
My pleasure. Good evening to your discerning listeners.
You've seen the economy part of the assessment. If you look at the items that the Vice President says has been delivered, there's some of them that are pretty subjective. So, for example, they say, for example, that shift the focus of economic management from taxation to production. Has that been delivered as it's claimed in the assessment?
Yes. You wouldn't say they are subjective. I think some of the issues speak to data. Taxation to production. So you look at taxes that are directly related to production, and you find tax on inputs and other things that have been, if you go through the menu, you find some of the taxes that have been reduced. So, in a way, the idea is that you don't tax more, but enhance or encourage production. Once production increases with a lower tax rate, you will be able to rake in more revenue. That's the simple explanation to that. So you can see some attempts to do that, but I don't think it's been extremely significant. I think there is an attempt to shift from taxation to production, but it's not been as much as one would have expected.
So it's a categorical, we have delivered this. I mean, but from what you're saying, it appears you cannot come to that categorical conclusion that as we speak today, after 3 years, the economy has moved from taxation and we are now in the regime of production.
You see, in every evaluation, you have a baseline figure. You normally get a baseline figure. Then at the end, you do the evaluation and compare with the baseline. Shifting from taxation to production, what was the baseline? That is what the question we need to ask ourselves. What were the taxes that were in existence, and how far have we removed some of these taxes? You've seen tax on inputs in certain areas that have been removed, and in some cases it's been reduced. But the baseline for me, we need to clearly define what the baseline is, and in some cases, one is not too clear what the baseline figures are.
Let's look at another one. Restore overall macroeconomic stability. Government says they have delivered on this promise. Is that your assessment too?
Oh, I think to a very large extent that has been achieved. If you look at the macro figures, you can look at GDP growth, compare with some periods that we had the doomsaw and lower growth rate. If you look at inflation, you've seen that we moved to single-digit inflation. You look at budget deficit, You can look at exchange rate depreciation. Yes, there's some amount of depreciation, but overall, one can say this objective has been achieved, not fully, but by a significant proportion.
And just a question about impact of some of these interventions. So there's a list of abolish 5% VAT, abolish 17.5% VAT on domestic airline tickets, abolish special import levy. All these interventions the government is pointing to and checking. How are we seeing a corresponding positive impact on the economy?
Yes, to some extent, we've seen positive impact. I mean, if you look at growth, yes, we've seen very respectable growth figures being recorded in 2018, 2017, 2018, 2019. So in that aspect, we can say yes, there's impact. Where I have a difficulty is with employment, because all of this will translate into employment. Now, we can't say that government hasn't increased employment. They have. But to what extent? I think the figures, just like we're having baseline figures for where government compared 2016, 20 to 2018, 2019, or even 2014, baseline figures for GDP growth, inflation, exchange rate. I would have expected to see some comparison of employment figures or unemployment figures, that when we took office, unemployment was this rate, and today this is the unemployment rate. So this is how many jobs that were created by this previous government, and this is how many jobs we have created. I think that comparison is missing, and that points to one significant bottleneck in our economy. We haven't resourced the Ghana Statistical Service enough to be generating these figures for us. Ideally, we should be having quarterly figures, quarterly employment figures, quarterly unemployment figures, so that if any government stands and says, look, I have achieved everything to translate into jobs. So you can measure clearly what extent unemployment is declining, what extent we are growing employment, what extent we are putting money in people's pockets. But that aspect for me is missing. And then I think it's something we need to get to and get the Ghana Statistical Service resourced so that we can have meaningful debates when it comes to impact.
Professor Peter Quartey, I'm grateful that you joined us. That is the director of the ISA at the University of Ghana, joining us with his own thoughts on the assessment of government today. I've been asking you to share with me your thoughts on the assessment, the government assessment, but also whether or not Ghanaian students in Wuhan should be evacuated back to Ghana. Some of your views, very interesting ones.
This one from David in China. He says the deputy minister should mind his speech. He doesn't know what we are going through here in China. And this one says, I don't think the minority have really thought through their suggestions. How can all Chinese living in Ghana be screened? Do they even know the number of Chinese in Ghana? Do they know how they can contact all these Chinese? And this one from DK says, and what about Chinese who were born and have lived in Ghana for more than a year? What about the Ghanaian businessmen and women who have traveled to China recently? They should come again. Their suggestions should be proactive and well thought through.
Kofi Siedu says, what is preventing the government from evacuating our dear students from China in the wake of the virus? This lackadaisical attitude by the government towards our brothers and sisters in China is quite reprehensible. Blaise says, please, what is preventing the government from evacuating our nationals? There's a hashtag already that he started. Hashtag bring our students back home. Flint sent to start one. Churchill says safety first, so our nationals should be evacuated from China to Ghana. We should not wait for the unexpected to happen before rushing. This one has no name, but he says even countries with superior health systems with capacity to tackle the coronavirus are evacuating their nationals, and how much more Ghana? Are we waiting for them to die before we bring their corpses home to bury?
Loads and loads of messages that you sent in. This one says other students are being rescued, but the Ghanaian students are being stranded with panic attacks, and our leaders are still considering evacuation. For how long will this take? Let us be serious as leaders. And this one says the deputy minister is not convincing at all. The government should wake up to their responsibility and evacuate Ghanaians in Wuhan immediately. I have read of American citizens being evacuated and quarantined for 14 days at a military base. Mr. President, consider the plight of your people and evacuate them now. Number of messages that you've sent in via WhatsApp. Thank you. Keep them coming in. Benedict Owusu, in the meantime, has the latest from the world of sport.
Yes, Emefa and Evans. Now, the Ghana Table Tennis Federation has acquired ultra-modern equipment ahead of this weekend's Chairman's Cup. Now, the federation becomes the first in the West Africa region to get the new boards. Now, Chairman of the federation, that's Malcolm Afajinu, disclosed this during a media session, an open board at the Accra Table Tennis Center at the Fantasy Dome in the trade fair.
We now have a facility which is like none other in the whole West Africa sub-region, and this is the result of the very positive collaboration with the owners of the Fantasy Dome, who also love table tennis. We have Mr. Leslie Quino here, and they have partnered both the Accra Table Tennis Center and the Ghana Table Tennis Association to have this facility. And so from this weekend, anybody who loves table tennis and wants to play the game in a top-class facility, which would be the pride of any city in the world, can come to the Trade Fair Center, to the Accra Table Tennis Center at the Fantasy Dome. Now, we are going to have our season opener, the table tennis year for 2020, on Saturday with the Chairman's Cup, as is the tradition.
So Malcolm Afajinu is chairman or president of the Ghana Table Tennis Federation. Now, referee Hamid Sese has been handed a 4-match ban in respect of the Ghana Premier League match between Great Olympics and Wafa in Accra a week ago. Now, the FA's referees committee also found that referee, that's Hamid, that he was generally not at his best for that particular game. The length of the ban takes into account the fact that this is the first infraction on his part this season, and some bad news coming for Barca fans. Winger Ousmane Dembele will be sidelined for 6 months following his surgery on a serious hamstring tear. Now, Dembele has suffered several injuries in both legs since joining the La Liga champions from Dortmund in 2017, and he has played only 3 full games this season, missing 63 games in all competitions at Barca through injury. And Dembele, of course, remains a major doubt for the Euro 2020. That's some bit of bad news coming from Barca fans.
Well, Benedict, thank you very much for the latest from the world of sport. Now, if you're driving, I'm sure at this time you're on your way home. It's time for us to talk about our Arrive Alive campaign, Safety on Our Roads. Listen up. The Motor Transport and Traffic Department of the Ghana Police Service says over 200 people died on Ghana's roads just last month. That's just the month of January. 200 people died. The figure represents a 10% increase in last year's figure for January.
Well, already Joe News has launched the Arrive Alive campaign. We've all been participating in that, and thank you very much for sharing that hashtag on Twitter and also behaving on the roads. A project aimed at reducing the carnage on Ghana's roads. As part of the campaign, Director of Education and Research at MTTD, Chief Superintendent Alexander Obeng, is calling for the enforcement of traffic regulations on speed limiters. He believes that will help reduce the deaths.
In our road law, tachographs and speed limiters have been incorporated. Over time, the difficulty has been how to ensure its mass implementation. It's the reason why the recent call that regulation in our law has to see the full benefit by vehicle owners and drivers and operators. It is good. It's a nice call that operators, fleet owners, transport operators who are not adopted this culture should add my voice and admonish other transport operators, Metromas, GPRTU, Cooperative, Protoa, and all these plethora of operators who are supporting Ghana in delivering public road transport services, that it is in their own interest and it is geared towards protecting their investments.
It's time to arrive alive, so drive safely, be careful on the roads, wear your seatbelt. You know that you can't be driving and texting like Evans is doing. You can't be driving and drinking alcohol as well. Stay safe on the roads. But as we've talked about our Arrive Alive campaign, let's talk about sanitation.
Oh yes, another campaign we're running. It's been running for months now with some notable results. The Joy Clean Ghana campaign is continuing to unravel more terrible conditions under which food sold to the general public is prepared. Now, this is despite the continuous naming and shaming of individuals and businesses engaged in such conduct. Now, the latest episode is at the kitchen at Choco Chimwena, where that's my favorite town. You know, I used to school there. That's my playground. Where a local snack made of boiled corn and peanuts wrapped in corn husk prepared. I've forgotten the name, but it's a favorite delicacy of mine.
Very nice one.
Very, very nice. But you know what? Very soft.
Succulent.
Oh, goodness. I'm salivating already. Let's see whether I'll salivate after this. It's a kind of story that will make you think twice about the source of the food you buy from the streets. Listen to Nancy.
As we walked along the dirty Kemu Lagoon, our attention was drawn to a group of women molding corn and granuts, a local delicacy.
Antino, your friend Joseph, Pacho, your friend.
Inspector Satanga was alarmed after questioning them.
The Musha baby, I'm Mutina Muyasa, January, I yes. Mammy, take at the enemy. We are there. Abroni. Oh my God. Abroni Bini. Look at this. So, madam, your season in our bonnet. I don't know much on Hana Yedi, I have a mamma Quanamodia, Mayo. Hello? Moi, we now already know. Baby, I'm your enemy, Emefa. I will your aim me quite sucra, say Muntina Hana Muyasa at January. What? Until I safe, your mamma, your best is why.
The women pleaded for their words not to be taken away, but the Inspector Satanga requested them to produce health cards, but they also did not have not even one.
Okay, so tax force, no way. Can you people take these things and then tie it up and go and put it into the pickup, because we won't allow this thing to go to the market. Okay? Everything here, take it away.
All those things. Then we went in to check the pot in which the wrapped corn is boiled. A dirty container with dirty napkins. It was unbelievable.
Look at this thing that they prepared this thing in. Oh! Madam! Pacho Mr. Opa, wait, do you wash it? This is what you use to cover the food. No, but for now, it is what you use to cover here. Look at how dirty it is. Oh, yeah, we are even seeing now. So don't defend the defenseless.
They were also cooking the delicacy just by a drain that contained plastics, human excreta, decomposed food waste.
Madam, our own, we can see. You are in a trotro. You are in a trotro. You are moving, you are walking around. You are doing anything. And you say you are hungry. Then they are selling this thing. Then you buy palm. Cholera that you are buying straight.
The team made of people that enjoyed buying the local delicacy from the street could not believe what they saw. Madam Kuchi promised the team will return for inspection in the near future.
Wow, and we are told it's called Sabo.
Yeah.
But you are telling me it's ashiko.
I think it's ashiko.
It's not ashiko. Ashiko is the one we eat with the coconut. They fetch it, they put it in a sieve, and then they give you some in a rubber with coconut. But this one is boiled with the granite. The granite is on top in the corn husk, and they tie it with a rope, and then they remove it. You see, it's brown. We are told the brown is the cloth that they use to cook it.
Terrible.
I will eat it again. No more Sabo. No more.
Well, that's it for News Night tonight, and we're counting down to Friday.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a joy, love experience. And the song that is trending on social media, we leave you with that whilst you get your ticket for 700 Ghana cedis and 2,000 Ghana cedis. Meet us at the Labadi Beach Hotel as we wine, dine, have breakfast on the beach. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.